This video tour has been made possible by the Port of Morgan City, St. Mary Chamber of Commerce, TK Towing, and 95.3 FM KQKI. I'm Brady Borel for KQKI News, and we are currently on a boat tour courtesy of the Port of Morgan City, and we want to thank Ringo. He is our boat captain with TK Towing, and today Raymond McWade, he is the executive director of the Port of Morgan City, is taking us on this tour, and also in partnership with the St. Mary Chamber of Commerce. With me, I also have Beth Chasson, the president of the chamber, and we're going to go into detail shortly why the chamber is involved in this tour. But Mac, tell us exactly why you were taking us on this tour. And by the way, there's the Miss Beth boat right now with TD Towing. You don't get any better timing than that.
I timed it just right.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
We're good. We aim to please.
Right.
We wanted to get the message out there of what all is going on in this area, the industry. A lot of people still think, well, Morgan City, you don't have the oil field left, there's nothing going on. No, there's vast amounts of industry here. There's vast amounts of fabrication. You've been able to see firsthand what's going on. The thing is, you don't see this when you drive down the road. You know, I can put you in my truck and we can go around. You say, oh, this is nice. But if you want to see what's happening, you have to see it by the water. You got to see what's going on in the backyard. That's where all the business. Then you start seeing, well, I didn't know all this was here. No, but it is here. A lot of jobs going on. A lot of our companies have been here for many, many years. They've seen the ups and the downs. They've been able to fight through all that. And they reinvented themselves and justify their existence by not staying with just the oil field, because the oil field wasn't building anything, so they had to diversify, and by diversifying they started doing stuff with the federal government. A lot of federal government work goes on. A lot of work with the Defense Department goes on in this area. People don't have a clue. There's a lot of work that goes on for the aerospace industry, shipbuilding, ship repair. All of that goes on in this area, and thousands of jobs are created. We have over $1 billion industry here every year operating in this area.
Well, Beth, speaking of federal government, that's a great segue. I am honored to serve as the 2025 chairman of the St. Mary Chamber of Commerce. Beth is our president, and several of us are heading to Washington, D.C. The week of Labor Day. We're going on a mission with the Chambers of Commerce and the Thibodaux and Terrebonne and Houma areas. So tell us exactly why this boat tour comes in handy just before we head to Washington.
It shows us firsthand example of everything that is going on in St. Mary Parish, the economic development that's occurring, and things that have been here that are more behind the scenes, because like Max said, it's in the backyard. You don't see it from the street, from the highway. And it's important for us to be here to be able to pass on the message that things are happening in St. Mary and we have more room for growth. And at the same time, also to deliver the message of the important work that the port does in keeping our waterway navigable and useful for all of these businesses.
Definitely. We will be meeting with representatives from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, as well as we're scheduled to meet with the entire congressional delegation and our senators from Louisiana there at the U.S. Capitol. So we will be bringing them information, messages from the port, our executives here, thanking them for the past funding, but hey, we want them to continue funding, because we need the channel dredged and this infrastructure in place. So that's how important a boat tour is, because we can bring this information to them and again tell them thank you, but just continuing to send the money our way, because obviously it's worth it. It's a wise investment.
Oh yeah, we need the continued support. It's important. These businesses wouldn't necessarily be here if we didn't have the waterway that we do, and we have the port really to thank for that.
Definitely, and you can stay tuned. We'll be showing you footage from our trip to Washington, D.C. Of course, again, we leave the Labor Day week. It's called a Washington, D.C. fly-in partnership with the Houma Terrebonne Chamber of Commerce, the Thibodaux Chamber of Commerce, and the Lafourche Chamber of Commerce, other entities involved. We also want to thank AIC, the Chaffly Intracoastal Coalition, who is one of our sponsors for this trip. We want to thank them, but also want to thank On this tour with us is Cindy Cotrera with the Port of Morgan City, one of our tour guides, and my son Brady Borel, who is behind the camera, our videographer, and who is assisting in the editing of the footage. I want to thank again Ringo with TK Towing. So we hope you enjoy this tour and you can get a behind the scenes look of what's really going on with the Port of Morgan City and over $1 billion worth of work here in the St. Mary Parish area.
Brady, right now we're in front of one of the local companies called Enamore. They're a big international company. The vessels you see behind, these things are called suction piles. They're anchors. This is used in the oil field and the wind energy market. These big piles that you see, these things can get up to 250,000 pounds, 300,000 pounds, can be even bigger than this. But this is what holds platforms in the drilling industry and in the wind energy market around the world. These things stand up, they drop them to the seafloor, stand them down, and then they hook pumps and everything to it. And what they do, they suck their way down. And then you hook the anchors or whatever to it. But these are anchors, basically. Not your typical anchors, but these things are huge, but they go all over the world. A lot of them are used right here in the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, right here. So, but that's what these are.
And was Enamore started right here in the Morgan City area, or
it splintered off from another company years ago out in Amelia, and then a company out of the UK purchased them and everything. So they're owned by Action out of the UK. But they employ a lot of people here, got a lot of people working, building these things. They've all made right here, then they're loaded up on big ocean-going barges, and they use our channel to get out to the Gulf of America, and then wherever they're going to. Another company just right down the road, Bill News Company, he builds these suction piles. He builds jumpers and everything, but there's still a lot of oil field manufacturing that goes on here. We don't have the rigs running out off our shore and everything. That's more or less down towards Fushan. But as far as that, we support a lot of stuff, the offshore industry in the Gulf of America.
So what they call the oil field service companies.
So, yep,
that's what
we're servicing. Yes, that is the Bryce agitation dredge that we use in the bar channel. That dredge, when it was built at Halimar, and that is the dredge that runs the bar channel down below from Eugene Island out to the sea buoy. That is what's given life to a lot of this, because our channel finally got open. We've got 20 foot now. We didn't have that before. But that is the John E. Graham. It's in for it's yearly maintenance and everything. It'll probably be in here for about another 2 or 3 weeks before it heads back offshore again. Conrad's has 3 yards out here. This is one of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. See the name on the side of those vessels? U.S. Navy. They have already sent 2 out, and when they finish here, they send them to San Diego, and then from San Diego, they go to Japan. But they've got orders. 2 have already gone out, and then I'm sure, I don't know what different stage they're in completion, but you can see some of them are painted, some of this. The one over here, it looks like it's already in the water, so that'll probably be the next one. And you probably got behind, you can't see, but there's more of them in the back that they're building. Conrad got an order for maybe 1 or 2 of them a few years, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And the Navy said, well, we're going to see how you do on these first couple. And the Navy came down, they liked what Conrad did, and they said, well, we're going to give you maybe 3 or 4 more. And they gave them that order, and they've even given them other orders. They've got a lot of work here for several years, 9.
And exactly what are these for?
Living quarters.
Okay, Mac, here we are at one of 3 Bollinger shipyards here in the Amelia area. Exactly what do they do here, these yards?
Bollinger does a lot of things. They build new stuff. They repair old stuff. They do conversions. You name it, Bollinger does it. They have contracts with the federal government. They build nuclear submarine dry docks for the U.S. program. They've got stuff going on with the space industry. Bollinger, you name it, they touch a lot. They just signed a contract with the U.S. Navy for $951 million to build Navy vessels. They're not going to be built here, but that's in Bollinger's network. We have 3 of Bollinger's largest shipyards located right here behind me, and you can see some massive stuff. And this goes on around for another half a mile or further on around that we'll be going to. But Bollinger does a lot of work, a lot of repairs. People bring their stuff from all over the country. They come down to Bollinger. They go to Conrad's. We got many shipyards here with dry docks, and it's always good to see stuff sitting on the dry docks. That means they're busy. The yellow things you see on the bank right here, those are called jumpers.
Okay.
And those jumpers are used when they drill wells offshore, where the wellhead is down below on the seabed. This will connect to those. This connects to the equipment on the bottom where the wellhead's at, and then they'll run this to other pipelines. They'll connect maybe, when these rigs now will drill maybe 10, 15, 20 wells in an area. And you got to get that to a pipeline. So these are called jumpers. This will hook up to each one of them and then flow it. All the yellow stuff, and there's a lot of that activity going on in the area.
So is this oceaneering as well?
This is oceaneering right here.
Okay.
And now we're in new industries. In new industries, see the yellow stuff and the stuff hanging in there? That's all these jumpers. And the big boats will come in here and load that stuff out and then bring it offshore to wherever it's going. And you can see some more of the suction piles over here. Bill New also builds the big cylinder tanks and everything, the pressure vessels. You can see some of those in the background. You got hundreds of people working at all these different locations.
Do you have an approximate amount of people that work, employees in all of these different facilities?
Brady, we don't have. It's just an estimate. We don't have hard numbers, but I mean, Conrad's is probably right at 1,000 people out there. You got Performance; they were at over 2,800 people. You got Bollinger; they're probably right at 1,000. Now, a lot of the workers are contract hands. Well, I don't work for Bollinger, but I work there. So it depends on what number it is, but there's a lot of people that's employed. And you can see some more of those suction piles back there and some of those big high pressure vessels. This is Hallamar Shipyard. They're the ones that built the specially built dredge for us. This is where it was built. That back there, that's a big yacht. That thing's 200-some foot long. That's going down to Miami. It's an event boat, $60 million. When you see cranes in the air, that means there's a lot of work under those cranes. When cranes are not in use and they're not going to be in use for a while, they lay them down. They take the pressure off. But when you see that many in the air, that's over there by Venture Global. We will be going by there, but that tells you that's a lot of stuff happening in one area.
So what do we have here on the right?
Okay, we are in Bayou Buff right now. On the left-hand side is Amelia. This is the Bayou Buff side. This is where McDermott was for years. Now, and it was dead. They moved out. This was nothing out here several years back. Very little activity going on. Now, as we go along, there's equipment laying on the ground back there. See all the new stuff way back there? You can just barely see it. You got equipment here, you got equipment there. They're working on the bulkheads. There is a lot of activity going on out in this area. The yard through there, you can see parts on the ground. All the way down, both sides of the bayou.
So these are part of the modules that they're building for LNG?
This is part of them.
Okay.
You can see the modulars in the background. See across there? Look like the Tinker Toy things. That's the modulars and all these different components. Look to the left over here now. All this will go on that side and be put on those structures way over there.
And then they ship them out of here?
On a big barge. Takes 4 or 5 tugs. They bring it out down the river, out to the Gulf of America. And then from there, the tugs will bring it up the Mississippi River, deliver them to Plaquemine. And they're going to continue to do that. But what they're doing on this side, the Buff side, they got a contract to build 14 more modulars like that, but they're going to be twice as big.
Wow.
So there's a lot of work to be had. All this stuff, all is going to have to be put over there.
So here on the right, we're going to get Brady, our camera guy, to zoom in here. These are the beginnings of the modulars that they're building now for LNG plant down in
Plaquemine Parish.
Okay.
They're going to be loading out, building 14 more for this side to go to Cameron.
But how long does it take to build one of these?
Probably 6 to 8 months. But see all the cranes in the air? They're holding something. You got cranes over here. There's just a lot going on in this area. I mean, a lot going on.
Okay, Mac, here we are at LAD Services, which is owned by Morgan City Mayor Lee Dragna. Tell us what they do out here at LAD.
Lee does a little bit of everything. He works for different companies. You'll see new stuff being built. You'll see repairs being built, conversions. They do a little bit of everything. Lee was one of the first ones to start with SpaceX years ago with the barges that they have. Lee has some current work going on with them at this time. So there's a lot going on in this area. You can see that some of these, like this is an older barge. They must have some work that needs to be done. Up there behind it, that's a new barge. Down on there, that's a new barge. So you got new stuff, you got old stuff. But everything along here, and this employs a lot of people. A lot of people are working here.
Because not only does he have this yard, but he's got one in Stevensville.
Stevensville also, yes. Now
I remember,
and both of these big warehouses you see, that's Lee's.
I remember the day after Labor Day last year, they launched a barge. I believe it was about the size or the length of a football field.
Yep. That might have been the one for the solar energy. It was a cable laying barge. That barge, everything was built here. That was the only U.S. compliant barge, because you can't bring foreign stuff into our waters. It's got to be U.S. made, and that's the only one. That's why the wind energy business, if it's way out in waters that don't belong to the U.S., those ships can't come in to get supplies. But this was a big cable laying barge that was going to basically hook up that went up to the East Coast. But they do a lot of different work. I mean, a lot of different work going on. And like I said, we're out here on the Bayou Buff side. We're in what they call the Snake Pit. And we're right past Lee's. We're going to be at Venture Global.
And you mentioned he does a lot of work for SpaceX. I believe maybe some landing pads on some of these barges.
Yeah, those the barges that have the landing pads on them, Lee put those together here when he had his site over in Berwick. He built those barges for him and repairs the barges for him. He's currently doing some work with them right now, making some modifications. So Lee has a long reach. He has a lot going on. And like I say, this is a huge operation here.
And Lee employs a lot of people. Yes.
I don't know how big that crane is there, but that's a big crane.
Is this some kind of living quarters right here?
That probably goes with this.
Okay.
So I assume that. I don't know. But right on the other side, a lot of the new stuff he builds that comes out is behind this, and then he has a launching platform. In fact, there's something on that platform right there. That's sitting on those rails. They will raise that up, and that's going to slide right off into the water.
Oh, wow. Yes, I have seen.
Look, there's another one behind that and another one behind that. So all these things that you see on the bank, they got to get back in the water somehow. But that's a launching pad right there.
And of course, this was all part of McDermott many years ago.
This is all at McDermott Yard, yes. Lee has both of the big warehouses. I think his property stops right there at the end of that warehouse, and then you're going to get it right on the other side. And then you're going to have all the Venture Global and all that stuff we saw a while ago. Remember all that we saw? That's way over there. You saw some on the other side of the bayou. All that will have to come over here, be brought over here at some point to finish this out.
So good to see so much activity on this side.
Yes.
After all these years of seeing it empty.
Nothing. Empty.
Yes.
Empty.
So
It's empty for years.
And of course that is what Assumption Parish, but we were talking in the boat how Lee hires so many people from St. Mary Parish. They come to our restaurants, our hotels,
exactly. Remember, the waterway is ours, though. The waterway is a Port of Morgan City. This is our district. Well, I don't own the land, no, but if you get in the water, I'm like a parking meter maid. Yep, we check that box.
Well, we were talking in the boat as well. You get credit for them when they use.
Yeah.
Tell us how that works for the port.
We could be here all day talking about that. I get mad about it, but the core, you're based on, you're kind of like your value. Are you doing anything down there? No, we don't have nothing going on. Well, you don't really need no money. Well, I want some money, but you don't have nothing going on. You got to justify your existence. Why am I deserving of this money? And we are showing this is a tremendous return for the American taxpayer. You gave us the money. Now look at all this. There's a lot happening here. You've seen a lot happening. And we get many millions of dollars, and that's the taxpayers' money. Well, if they don't have nothing going on, we're not going to give it. We'll give it to somebody else. Sure. No, so that's why it's very important we keep up with stuff like that, the usage, and bring people out, just tell them our story so they can see, because I can say it, but, well, seeing's believing. Seeing is believing.
I remember for years covering meetings, as a news reporter, how you guys were lobbying to get the channel dredge. You needed that fluff out.
Yep.
Finally, I know Congressman Higgins was able to get $40 million allocated, and I believe that's what really got everything started a few years ago.
Once we found out how to handle the fluff with the Bryce dredge, that changed the course over here. Now, we knew how to get the sand out, but there was no cure for the fluff. Once we did that, everything changed in about 2022. The funding started coming. The businesses started coming. The businesses are here. They are doing some work now. I mean, a lot going on. I don't know, I was out here 3 weeks ago talking to, they had 750 people working. I'll bet you that number's a lot higher now, and that number's going to go a lot higher.
And this is for?
Venture Global.
Okay. Yep.
These structures you see, there's 4 of them. Are there 4, or there maybe, but there's 4 under construction right now. They got a total of 10 of these to put together. And you say, well, shoot, they're almost through. No, they're not. These things are 7 stories high. But all these components, both sides of the bayou, will be placed on this over here.
Nice, friendly.
Yeah.
The neighbors.
Yeah. So, and remember, Brady, this is just the first phase of it. We've got these 4. They got a total of 10 in this order, and they got 14 more they're going to build on the other side of the bayou.
Unreal.
So I see those tall things over there. I don't know what that is. I'm very curious, but they've got a lot of work. But look at the parts. I don't know how you get through this thing. A maze like.
Right. Let's go back to the fluff. Explain what fluff is.
Fluff is what comes down from all your farms along the Mississippi River in 2 provinces of Canada. Mississippi River drains 41% of the nation. We drain 30% of the Mississippi. When that material enters into the Chafalaya, it's got sand, it's got clays, it's got silts. Some of it settles out in the basin. A lot of the sand comes through and dumps in Berwick Harbor. We have to fool with it there. We have to fool with it down below. But all the clays and silts that did not get trapped in the basin, have to be, that flows out into the bar channel. We don't have sand in the basin. It's not muddy there. It's not muddy down the river. It's when you get to Eugene Island, 5 miles off, that sand and clay gets mixed with the salt water, the salinity picks up, and it starts flocking and it falls out. That, you can't drive through that with a boat. This is very, I do want to say one thing real quick. I told you we had 4. There's number 5. 5 is they're starting on 5. So that takes more people.
Right.
But the fluff has been the issue, and the specially built dredge, it is designed to go in there and suck the fluff off the bottom, run it through the pump pump it off the sides, and then the winds, tides, and currents take it at a fraction of the cost for conventional dredging. Any dredge can go do it, but I need one just to do this. They say, well, your dredge can't do this, this, and this. I don't need it to do that. It's a specially purpose-built dredge, and that's what turned our area around when we finally cracked the code to that. Fought it for years, but we cracked it, and now that's why we got all this business.